When the world faces upheaval, when war breaks out, when energy and food supplies are interrupted, we must zero in on what matters most at home and on what we control. We work for Canada and its people. Here is our home. We want this country to be affordable at home, safe at home, and strong at home, so that we can be unbreakable abroad. Put in more academic terms, we must put Canada's national interest first and foremost as we look at this war and what it means and where we stand. On travaille pour le Canada et pour les Canadiens, ici, chez nous, parce que on veut un Canada qui est abordable chez nous, sécuritaire chez nous et fort chez nous. C'est comme ça qu'on veut devenir maître chez nous et devenir capable de défendre nos intérêts et nos valeurs à l'échelle internationale. That principle should guide us in the present war in the Middle East. So let us start with the regime itself. This is the most prolific terrorist regime in the world, a regime that routinely murders, harasses, and intimidates Canadians. The regime killed 55 Canadian citizens and 30 permanent residents when it fired a missile, an unprovoked missile, at a passenger plane, PS-752, for which there has been no subsequent justice by the regime. Further, let me chronicle the unprovoked aggressions this regime has taken against our country. In 2023, a year-long global news investigation found that there are 700 regime-backed agents operating on Canadian soil for the purposes of intimidating and threatening dissidents who fled the regime. Victims' families and Canadians protesting the regime have reported harassment and surveillance on Canadian soil, according to the RCMP, which has received numerous reports of foreign interference by the Islamic Republic of Iran. In 2024, 2 Canadians were indicted in the U.S. for their role in an alleged murder-for-hire plot on behalf of Iranian intelligence. In 2024 also, agents of Iran attempted to assassinate former Canadian Justice Minister Irwin Cotler. According to a CSIS report in 2024, the regime is, quote, one of the main perpetrators of foreign interference and espionage in Canada. CSIS assesses that Iran will continue to use proxies such as individuals involved in transnational crime networks when its perceived enemies are active in other countries. According to CSIS, as late as 2023, Iran-aligned cyber actors such as the IRGC-linked Cyber Avengers have been targeting Western critical infrastructure, including, and this is important, healthcare and public health, government and information technology, and engineering sectors. In other words, attempting to mess with our technological capability to deliver health care to our people through foreign attacks on our cyber networks. The Hague Commission lists Iran as, quote, a considerable transnational threat because it is likely monitoring, influencing, collecting information on, harassing, and intimidating Iranian diaspora community to prevent criticism of Iran. And the National Security Committee found that Iran is one of the primary perpetrators of repression against ethno-cultural communities in Canada. This list only chronicles the direct harm the regime has done to Canada itself. Forget that this regime is the single biggest sponsor of terrorism in the world, that it orchestrated the attacks of October 7th, that it has killed countless of its own citizens, including 30,000 in the last month alone. All of these moral atrocities only compound the regime with the evil that the regime has done to our country. In other words, it is in our national interest for this regime to be defeated and replaced by the Iranian people with a peaceful democracy. We need strong leadership that takes a stand, maintains that stand, stays consistent at home and abroad, and shows up in this House of Commons to do what is right and speak for the Canadian people. And that is what we do here today. We as Conservatives make it clear that it is in our national interest that the regime in Iran, which has infiltrated our country, murdered at least 55 of our citizens, and harassed countless others, be removed. And that is why I supported the Prime Minister's initial support of the U.S. and Israeli airstrikes. Since that time, he has flipped and flopped more than 4 times, having 4 contradictory positions in as many days. First, he said he was for the attack. Then he regretted his support for the attack. Then he said that his support for the attack was illegal under international law. And then he said he would consider sending troops for the attack, which he supported but regretted supporting, and then said that was illegal under international law. Mr. Speaker, his party says one thing to one group and the opposite to another, confusing our allies and dividing Canadians. Some of the Prime Minister's own Liberal MPs have said in the newspaper today, and I quote, "What the hell?" when it comes to his stance on the war in the Middle East. And now he has gone into hiding, having failed to speak a single word in tonight's debate. In this time of crisis, Canadians deserve to know where the Prime Minister stands. Indeed, they deserve to know where the Prime Minister is. C'est une crise de sécurité, de l'abordabilité, une guerre internationale sur laquelle le Premier ministre a déjà fait 4 volte-face. Il devrait se prononcer ici, devant les chambres des communes, devant les Canadiens, au lieu de se cacher. Où est le Premier ministre, Monsieur le Président? We have been unclear and unwavering. Conservatives support the right of the Iranian people to remove their terrorist regime, a regime that has murdered countless Canadians and targets our people on our soil, in order to bring forth a peaceful democracy in Iran. We must turn our attention, though, to our own country. What does this war mean for Canada? First, we must be safe at home. Canada has become more dangerous under this Liberal government. There have always been wars in the Middle East, but they've never spilled onto Canadian streets. But after 10 years of Liberal immigration, Liberal catch-and-release laws, Liberal incompetence, we are seeing violence and terrorism normalized in Canada. Synagogues shot, dissidents targeted, a regime officials using our country as a safe haven. As of February 5th, only one of the 28 individuals identified by CBSA as illegal foreign regime officials has been kicked out. And that does not take into account that, according to Global News, there have been as many as 700 of these regime terrorist-linked officials who are making Canada their personal hotel. Why has the Prime Minister not moved to have these people deported from our country? This Prime Minister has not made any changes to the criminal code to kick the terrorists out, lock the criminals up, or stop new ones from coming in. We need a plan to deport all of the regime officials. They need to be identified, they need to be arrested, and they need to be deported. There is no room for IRGC or Iranian regime officials in our country. Pick them out. We need to ensure that Canada is safe for its Persian and Jewish communities, and a real action plan to protect synagogues and other places of worship that have come under attack. This government has failed to keep Jews and Persians and other Canadians safe in this country. Enough is enough. We are a very welcoming people, but we will not put up with foreign wars and other forms of terrorism spilling onto our streets. This is Canada, and every Canadian has the right to feel safe living in this country. We must be affordable at home. Oil prices are spiking due to the blockage of the Strait of Hormuz, which transits about a fifth of the globe's oil. Now, that the government cannot control global oil prices, but it can control domestic taxes and policies allowing domestic production. This Prime Minister has brought in a new tax, the fuel standard tax, and has blocked domestic production of our oil. We need a plan to unlock affordable energy, not only to supply ourselves, but the entire world. Repealing anti-energy laws like C-69, C-48, the industrial carbon tax, to unblock and unlock our resources, shipping them off our coasts in order to fuel our friends and power our paychecks. In this way, we can both make the country more affordable and more autonomous, and that must be our mission. We work for Canada. That is our job in this place. We must be a country that is affordable at home, safe at home, and strong at home, so that we can be unbreakable abroad. Nous devrions être abordables chez nous, sécuritaires chez nous, et forts chez nous pour pouvoir défendre nos propres intérêts. Monsieur le Président, nous sommes ici pour les Canadiens. We are here for our country and our people. Thank you.